Welcome back. With the mission of providing holistic services and advocacy, the Fortune Society works tirelessly to support individuals with criminal justice histories as they navigate re entry into society. From housing to education and career development, their services address the many challenges these individuals face, including mental health, substance use, and the stigma of incarceration. Joining us is the Deputy CEO of the Fortune Society, Rob DeLeon. Rob, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, can you give an overview of the Fortune Society's overall mission and the unique one stop shop service model it employs?
Sure, and I'll give you the elevator pitch. The Fortune Society's been around for 57 years now. We were born of the arts, and when we started at a time when our founder David Rothenberg says you didn't have to apologize for caring. We thought that we'd be an advocacy organization that educates the public. And David engaged some formerly incarcerated folks back then, and quickly learned that there was so many needs amongst the population. And so individuals come and saying, we want to help to educate the public. I need help finding a job. Want to help to educate the public, but I don't have a place to live, or I can't get a lease in my name because of discrimination. And so we have this array of services that really grew out of the needs presented by the individuals who walk through our doors. And so, fortunately, we really pride ourselves on that having been the reason for our growth, which is the presenting needs. We weren't born from some ribbon cutting or some think tank that happened at some point. Needs presented themselves. Our first housing program was individuals sleeping on someone else's couch while they figured out their housing situation. So we continue to provide, education to the public. We do advocacy through our David Rothenberg Center for Public Policy, but we also provide employment readiness services. An individual walks through our doors and gets an intake assessment to figure out what those needs are. And everyone is screened for benefits access. So any public benefits that an individual is eligible for, we'll screen for, we'll help them to sign up for, whether it's cash assistance, SNAP benefits, health insurance through Medicaid. And then, we have everything from helping individuals get connected to medical care, to mental health treatment, to addiction treatment services, and a bunch of stuff in between. We have arts services, which is our roots, and so we want to make sure that individuals, they come to us for the things that they need, but that they also get some things that they want to do. And so that's why our art services are so important. We provide free meals every day at all of our locations throughout the city, and so that's a nutshell of the many things that we do.
Now, what are some of the key challenges that, folks, within the program who have faced any run ins with, the justice system? What are some of the challenges that they face upon reentry, and how does Fortune address these through their programs?
So there's so many challenges that individuals face. And a lot of it has to do with the stigma of having been incarcerated. A lot of it has to do with how society has kind of inflicted this perpetual punishment on individuals who've paid their debts to society. And so, of course, one of the primary needs of a person coming home from incarceration is to have a stable place to live and a means of supporting themselves. And so, when we assess for all of those needs, we want to make sure that if a person is work ready, that we're able to get them, on that track to be employed right away, in as much as possible. But also, there are folks who come home and have other issues to address, who have to address, mental health challenges, who have to address addiction treatment needs. And in those instances, we want to make sure that we get them connected to those services, while at the same time making sure that they're connected to public benefits so that they can support themselves. But I would say, the primary challenge, or historically, the primary challenge has been just that stigma of having been incarcerated and facing discrimination when looking for work, and when seeking housing. So we're doing work to try to address that stigma, to address that discrimination.
And kind of expanding on some of those challenges, can you talk about the educational barriers faced by formerly incarcerated individuals and what that journey is like for them?
Sure. So there was a time when folks would come to us with fourth grade literacy levels, and we still have examples of that. And so we offer we offer education services. We have tutoring services on site. We prepare folks to take their GEDs. But more and more, our population has been getting older. A lot of folks are aging out of having done a significant amount of time. And so more and more we have folks coming to us with their diplomas or their equivalency diplomas, and making a decision about whether or not to attend higher education. There was a minute in time where access to higher education was limited, actually a very long time, from about 1994 until very recently. Access to higher education while incarcerated was something that was really hard to get, although research shows that individuals who achieve higher education, they go back to prison and to criminal behavior at a practically zero rate. And so because of that, some folks have entered college, have come to us with higher education, but there are individuals who went away because of literacy issues and what have you, or because of not having attended school, trying to survive out in society, who still struggle with those kinds of issues. So that's one of the things that we have an emphasis on, that we try to address, which is getting folks literacy levels up, getting folks their diplomas wherever necessary, and then of course helping to connect them to employment and housing as needed.
Now, as many of us may know, education is definitely leads you on a pathway to careers and just more opportunity. Can you talk about your career development program and how does it help people who are enrolled?
Absolutely. So it's probably the, if not one of the most sought after services that we offer. So individuals come looking for work because, of course, supporting yourself, contributing to families. So many folks come home from incarceration with children that they want to help to support. I've never met a person who said, "I can't wait to, re-enter society to become the best criminal I can be." It's really a matter of choices, and so when they come to us, the first thing an individual who enters our employment services does is they go through a 3 week employment readiness training where we work on soft skills, we work on things like behavior in the workplace, attitudes around what to expect in the workplace, and the like. And then after those 3 weeks, folks have a choice. They can go on to hard skills to learn more specific skills for specific disciplines in the workforce. We also send individuals on paid internships. So we have a 10-week paid internship program where individuals go out. We partner with a bunch of great employers throughout the city, and they give folks that real experience of being in the workplace, of having to call in if you're going to be late, of just what it's like to be there. And after that work experience, the one thing we ask is that if you do have a vacancy, that you would consider hiring this individual. So of course we know that the internship is not going to lead to guaranteed employment with the internship sponsor, but we ask that they consider that. And then that experience goes on an individual's resume. We've got great partnerships, including with Bloomberg Philanthropies, where folks go and get just an amazing experience with executives at Bloomberg. Access to the snack hall on I think it's the 13th floor, whatever it is. It's a really, really great experience. So, our workforce development program is a really great one. We've had some really great outcomes over the years. We serve roughly, about 700, 700 people annually in that experience. And we like to do more of it because the need is definitely there. But it's an experience that our folks appreciate, and many of them wind up being our own employees after going through such an experience. We believe in hiring our mission. We want to put our money where our mouth is, and so many folks come home from prison ready to serve and ready to be in the human service field. And we even do a human services 101 hard skills training that folks take. So, it's something that we brag about, as you can see, quite often, but we're really proud of our workforce development program.
Now, we talked about education and the workforce development, which is very, very important. But I also want to talk about family bonds. How does Fortune address the impact of incarceration on the family, and what services does or programs do you provide to reunify families?
So at Fortune, we've had family services. We have a family services unit where our case management team does programs like Healthy Fathers groups. We have a Women Rising program. And so in these programs, what we do is we really help individuals with cognitive behavioral interventions, with things like 24/7 dads, to prepare folks to reconnect with their families. There's some individuals who along the way may have burnt bridges within the families because of past behaviors. There's also some instances where families are not sure what to expect, and they need that kind of warming up time to really accept someone back into the fold of the family. And so we recognize how important that is. We try to prepare folks for that, and we've had some really great successes annually. As a matter of fact, coming up next Saturday, we have a family a holiday event where individuals come out, their families come out, their children come out. We give away gifts. Have to give a shout out to the Vera Institute for the partnership on the presents that we give away to the children that attend. And we've had individuals who hadn't seen their children in a number of years who first saw their children at one of our events, one of our holiday events. We recognize the importance of reunification with families. And I mean, maybe we'll talk about it later in the segment, but it's also one of the means of transitioning folks into more permanent housing when they're in our transitional housing, which is reconnecting with the family and living with their families.
And we'll definitely elaborate on that more. I think it's so important to highlight that. And I love that you mentioned that it could take some warming up to, and that this is all part of a process. It's not like, it's not just black and white, like you're in one area of your life and then automatically you just go back into, what things were like before. It is a process, and I love that you kind of explained that. Now, can you tell us a little bit more, as you mentioned, about how, just reunifying with families could also lead to other long-term solutions for people who have been, formerly incarcerated?
Sure. So um, at Fortune, we provide transitional housing for individuals who come home homeless. About 25% of the folks who come through our doors report unstable living conditions. Either they're at New York City shelters, they're couch surfing with a friend or relative, and don't have a real stable place to live. And that, of course, is a significant challenge. Anyone, including us, you and I, having a safe place to rest your head at night is one of the most important things, one of the most important factors to leading a successful life. And so um, folks come to us, they get into our transitional housing, and getting individuals connected to a voucher, employed, and ready to look for an apartment on the open market themselves is a process. It's a serious process. It's one that we've had great success with, but then reunification with families plays a major role in getting individuals permanently housed. And so some folks have families that that warming up process has to take place with, and while they're in our transitional services, while they're in our, excuse me, while they're in our transitional housing, while they're in our family services, that work is going on. Those visits are happening. Those, that communication is happening. We're working with individuals on that communication, and then ultimately, individuals wind up moving in with family members. Contributing to the household, as I said earlier, and participating in the family life together. And it's a really, really beautiful thing to see happen with an individual who's looking to really reclaim their lives, looking for that, that humanization that often society dehumanizes individuals who've, you know, had an experience where they were incarcerated and then are labeled a criminal, are labeled someone who is disposable, and really don't recognize those redemptive qualities that every human being possesses. And so some of the some of our most prominent historical figures in this country and in the world have had experiences with incarceration. And I don't mean to paint everyone with the greatness brush, but we all have good, and we all have the ability to do good and to do right by our families. And so it's really important that we reconnect folks with their families wherever we can help to do that.
And kind of expanding on that, you talked about, public perception. You know, with that, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about formerly incarcerated individuals? And how does your organization continuously work to kind of change that narrative?
So, I'll start by saying I'm formerly incarcerated. I spent 10 years in prison beginning at age 17. And I make no excuses for poor decisions. I made poor decisions in my life. I paid, the price for those poor decisions. But, I also came from I came from poverty. I came from a home where there was incarceration, where there was addiction, in the immediate family. And so, um, I just survived by the means that I knew how. And unfortunately, I wound up incarcerated. And so, um, I think some of the really, really unfortunate misconceptions is that individuals would just continue to live a life of incarceration. And at some point in my life, while incarcerated, I had to realize that doesn't have to be true. That doesn't have to be my reality. While I was away, my lady, who became my wife at the time, had my daughter, and I was away while my daughter was growing up on the outside without me, and I was motivation for me to want to get my life together and to want to make sure that not only do I not repeat those steps, but that I help wherever I can others not to repeat those steps, or to prevent young people, which is how I started my career, from entering the system to begin with. And so the misconception that individuals don't have those redemptive qualities, cannot come home and live a full life, um, you know, where you're contributing to society. I mean, I've been home over 20 years. This December 31st will
Wow.
make 21 years since my release. And I pay my taxes. I've put my daughter through school. She just recently graduated law school, and
Wow,
all of those
congrats.
things.
That's amazing.
Thank you, thank you,
I'm
thank you.
hearing so many amazing things, and I really love that you were able to share your story, and talked about how you were even able to kind of help, your children kind of be set up for success despite, what happened in your past. And I think that is definitely what people need to hear, especially in our community of the Bronx.
Yeah,
I just want to thank you so much for joining us
thank
and
you.
really sharing your story and having this conversation because it's so important. Could you quickly just let people know where they can go to learn more information about the organization?
Absolutely. So you can visit us at thefortunesociety.org. That's our website. We are on X at the Fortune SOC. My X handle is Rob DeLeon 14. And I'm also on LinkedIn as Rob DeLeon, the Fortune Society on LinkedIn. And so please check us out. You can always donate to the work that we do. We help. I just want to make the pitch that what we do is very heartfelt and very personal to me, but it's also a recipe for community safety, for public safety, and for really, really making sure that economically and that folks are contributing to society, and making society a safer place and a more whole place. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.